All right. Hey, pals. Welcome to WP Roundtable episode 190. I can't believe it's been that many episodes. It seems like just yesterday that I helped start this silly little show. But today is a special one because I've got Katie Ellenberger on the program. I know you've all heard of her. You've read all about her. You're probably big fans of all of her work. But now we've got her on the program. We get to learn a little bit more about her background and history. So thank you for joining me, Katie.
Oh, thank you.
Katie has been doing a lot of interesting WordPress things. We're going to dive into that in just a few minutes. But before that, this is the part of the show where we sidetrack and just share something kind of random. This is our quick pick of the week. And my quick pick is a no-brainer. Today, some of our friends, Amy Masson and some others, officially launched a podcast called Women in WordPress. And it looks pretty sweet. Amy mentioned some months back to me and many others that she was contemplating this idea and was looking to see if there was interest. And apparently there was enough for her to think it was worth her time. And I'm very pleased that that was the result because she's released it. So you can go to women. What's the URL? You can go to womeninwp.com and you will see a video recording also of their first episode. And the audio is available on Stitcher and Spotify, and shortly will be on iTunes. And stay tuned for more exciting episodes of this great new program. What do you have to share for us, Katie?
Yeah, that's awesome. I think what I'm interested in right now is some work about marketing personalities from Britt Colo. What I really love about it is, you hear all these tips and these tricks and these, you should do this and that with your types of marketing and the automations around that and all these things that are working for somebody. But what I love about taking kind of what she's doing and applying it to me is a really heavy sales automation process doesn't really fit my personality. And so what might work for somebody might not work for me or might really work for me. And so what works, when people are promoting all these awesome things or these awesome automations and processes, that if it's not inherently fitting your personality, it might not work for you. Does that make sense?
I think so. Yeah. Okay. So maybe you have a history of that you were able to draw from that made this message relatable. Like you've embarked on projects that just upon reflection, you look back and say that just the reason that didn't work out as expected or as hoped was partially attributed to it just not being the right fit for me or not my style.
Yeah, and I don't even think it's necessarily so much the projects as it is internal processes.
Okay.
So somebody might have all of these, extreme sales automations, but if I'd rather do my sales by jumping on a phone call, that works for me. So just making sure that your marketing message is really genuine to you.
Okay.
And what type works for you.
Your marketing message. Right. That's powerful. I think one of those common things that we fail to appreciate the importance of is the message in your marketing and just how impactful it really is. It's not really just about getting numbers and getting volume and an increased number of people seeing and responding and converting but the message can really shape not just the number of people, but the who and the how, and it just all starts with that first contact in your marketing.
Yeah, your messaging and just being able to build that genuine connection and have it be a genuine message from you.
Mm-hmm.
What makes and what the avenue you're going to use to market it. Are you going to speak? Are you doing a podcast? Are you doing blogging? Are you doing email marketing? And what one makes the most sense for you with how you want to connect with your audience.
Recap real quick what this you're recommending people check out is and where they can find it.
Yeah, I think it's just marketingpersonalities.com. I got sent a link directly because I was in part of a kick-ass mastermind group.
Cool.
Yeah, marketingpersonalities.com. It's kind of fun to check out. and it
Yeah.
bases it off your personality type. So, and what kind of message works for you.
Is this tailored towards small businesses or really um, agnostic of size?
No, it's just really all based on your personality.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
just like from taking that 16 personalities or that Myers-Briggs test.
Oh, Myers-Briggs. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just kind of fun to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds
And what
productive
and what yeah, and what it recommends for you.
for
Like
sure.
for my personality, it was recommending, speaking or doing small groups. Definitely like kind of more of that social interaction,
Mhm.
which makes sense for me actually. So
Cool.
yeah, versus like, and it says like what I don't recommend for you is having these really long technical processes, which works for somebody else, but maybe doesn't fit my personality.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
fun.
Well, let's learn a little bit about your background, Katie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know the whole story. I want to understand kind of how you got to where you are today. My favorite place to start is the point at which a younger Katie was first taking her steps towards a career, thinking you had found maybe the direction you want to go, or that you at least wanted to try. So, what was that direction that you thought you wanted to go in first, initially, before you had any big career, and how did you take those first steps?
Yeah, well, I might be one of the lucky ones that knew she wanted to be a designer from like the minute she went into college, and that was really awesome.
That's
Um,
special. Wow, that
yeah,
is. I
yeah.
don't hear that often.
Well, my fourth quarter of high school, I had art, choir, art was my 4 periods, and it was the best, most creative, most amazing time ever. And I knew that art was the avenue for me.
Mhm.
And new to our school was a graphic design course, and I just really, really resonated with it. Um, the unfortunate part in that journey was I went to college knowing I wanted to be in graphic design, but not understanding that colleges had separate colleges. And I was at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities. And um, when I went to orientation, I was like, "Oh, I want to be a graphic designer." And she's like, "Oh, that sounds really hard. I'm going to put you down for journalism." And I was
What?
like, "Oh, I mean, no, I want to do design." She's like, "Well, yeah, you can transfer in later." Um, which was unfortunate because at freshman at U of M, you can get into any colleges based on the GPA that I had and all of that, but you couldn't transfer in. And so to transfer in, it was 10 spots for 100 applicants, and there was no like here I'd wanted to be design from the beginning, and I couldn't even get transferred in. So I actually had to transfer out of the U of M, which was really sad because I really loved that school. But
Wow.
yeah, so made my journey towards my Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in graphic design. Yeah,
Okay. Huh. Okay.
yeah.
So you finished up the degree.
Yep. So I finished the degree. So it's a 5-year program with having your Bachelor of Fine Arts and
Cool.
with emphasis in graphic design. And it correlates a lot. Then it correlated a lot with the art programs. We got to do a lot of design principles and all of those core art focused programs.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then, yeah, just I got an internship before I graduated, and I was hired full time as a graphic designer before I graduated college. So, kind of just went full, full all in.
Wow, you did.
Yeah,
That's outstanding.
yeah, it was
That sounds
pretty.
like a success story. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it was really good. It also was that next following year was probably the hardest year in hindsight was the hardest year of my entire life so far. Um, my husband had ended up with cancer, and we bought a house, and I was graduating college, and he went back to college, and it was really really stressful. But having that full time job and those benefits and everything while that was all going on was definitely a lifesaver. So it all works out in the end. Um, in hindsight, I was lucky to have I was really fortunate to have that full time job, but yeah, just always staying passionate and to the creative profession and to graphic design, and just maybe took a little bit longer of a path to become an entrepreneur than I maybe would have had I not had some of that rocky road and some of that
mm,
stuff to push through.
yeah, yeah. Uh, that can be a common thread that I've heard from other people about how, I wouldn't have ended up doing what I am today if I hadn't gone through those experiences, like those
Right.
tough times where I was pushed and had to do things I didn't want to do, or step out of my comfort zone quite a lot, or just I had to really hustle to make ends meet, or just like the grind was pretty serious. And that,
Yeah, I mean, there's that grit, that determination, and you come out on the other side just like, we got through
mhm,
that, and
yeah,
better and stronger because of that.
for sure.
Um, I think I just always had that entrepreneurial spirit, which is where I ended up today. It never really was identified then. Um, but when I finally was telling everybody like, "Oh, I'm going to go out on my own," somebody that knew me from the beginning was like, "Oh, it's about time. You've always wanted this." And it was like, "Oh, you're right. Like I have. I just never had really identified that's what it was."
No kidding. Someone else
Yeah.
saw it, but you didn't?
Yeah, well,
Oh.
I guess. Or like I had talked about it in my hopes and dreams, but just never like made a certain plan that that was what it was going to be. So,
What was
um,
that turning point that made you finally decide to do it?
well, it's another part of our rocky road, I guess. My husband went back as a non-traditional student and got his master's in physical education, leadership, and sport, and was coaching college football an hour and a half away from our home. And I had a 2 and a 3-year-old at the time, or we had a 2 and a 3-year-old at the time.
Mhm.
Um, so he was basically living in this other city, pursuing his dreams, and I was very supportive of that, and I was excited for him. So it was, he got through his first year there, and we decided it was time to kind of reunite us in the same city and enough of the commuting. So I left my job that I loved and the benefits that were amazing, and decided to open my own business and moved out to where he was coaching. So
Mm.
that was the catalyst. When you end up at a job that you really, really, truly love, and with a team that's great, and benefits that are somewhat unheard of now, like fully paid family health care and
Yeah.
13% to your 401k and all of those kinds of really great benefits that you don't get as an entrepreneur.
Oh, no.
So, so to leave that was hard, but it was really important for us to end up with some more family time, and kind of eliminating that commute for him.
What was your attitude about this at the time? Reluctant to or anxious about this big change, or was there a part of you that
About the
was like,
move?
I want to do this, and maybe this is the time that I should?
Yeah, well, it'd be lying if I said there wasn't like some anxiety around all of it. I mean, we had lived in Fargo Moorhead for 13 years. We owned a house. We had, a great daycare provider. We had all of that kind of stuff and a good job. So to move out and sell our house was difficult. And to know we were to go out on our own was also challenging. But I had knowing that we were trying this kind of out for a year and how that's going to work. I just really worked on building up my freelance clients, and I've been freelancing for years on the side, but just really focusing on building those up so that when the even switch happened, it was supposed to be a little less stressful. The good news is when I finally announced to my freelance clients that I was going freelance full time, it was just this like rush of projects. And so from July to December, I was insanely busy because here they had been like holding back, knowing that I was just doing it on the side. So I guess in hindsight, had I known that was going to happen, I maybe would have gone out a year earlier. But it's all part of the process, I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So you had been doing some projects on the side, and then you decided to make this big life change, and the timing was right. And then you started to get serious about this business. So, what take us back to like that time where your business is new and you're starting to say, I need to treat this like a real business. I need to have a brand and pricing and contracts and all these and a website and just like everything else that comes with that package. Um, how'd you put it together, and what did it look like?
Yeah. Well, I also might be a little rare in this one, is that because I was taking my freelance so serious, I had really built up a lot of retainer clients. And a lot of my business is focused on these retainer clients. And some of my out full time. So a lot of my clients I've been designing and creating for 3 to 7 years. But so when I went out on my own, I said there was just this huge, just so many projects came my way. I didn't even have time I was like, okay, well, once I switch, I've been working full time. I was freelancing just crazy hours. Once I switch, I'll have time to work on my logo and I'll have time to work on my website. And I didn't have time, and I still don't have a lot of that stuff all together. And the testament is like, I fully believe on focus on the work that's on your desk. And I'll say that like time and time again, like because of my dedication to my clients and the work that's on my desk and the work that comes through is far going to outweigh, picking up new sales clients or having to do a heavy sales process. Because once we have one client, they often turn into long-term client or existing or return or retainer clients. And so my process of being really focused on those clients and those projects, they come back for more projects. And so I haven't had to do a lot of sales. We've grown now to 3 full-time employees and about 2 to 3 part-time employees. And I still haven't really done a lot of marketing or sales. So I guess that's my motto, is focus on the work on your desk.
That's outstanding.
You'll get really great testimonials and really amazing referrals.
Yeah. Well, good job. Yeah. High five. Okay. Well, I like that attitude, and that philosophy is powerful. And I would bet that there's something behind that, like lessons that you've learned that helped you to develop this philosophy. Was there a time where you were overemphasizing maybe what's ahead to the detriment of what is on your desk, and you learned things from that?
Well, I think another phrase that really stuck with me when I was doing this transition was that you don't need every client, you need 10 really good clients. And I would even, bet you just need 7 really good clients, because those 7 to 10, or, if you kind of in that range, they're going to bring you more work, and it's going to be a lot less hustle than having to return. Like, okay, if you want to service 40 clients and they're all at, X price point. Well, if you're servicing 10 clients at a different price point, it's a lot. You build these really, really strong relationships, which bring you those referrals. And so just really focusing that you don't need every client, and that every client might not be right for you. But those 10 really good clients are going to be amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Smart. That's brilliant advice for people getting started. I would recommend taking all of that to heart. Introduce us to Spark 27 Creative today. You told us a little bit about the team. Maybe what are the services that you offer and the clients that are the perfect fit?
Yeah. So the clients that are a perfect fit for us are really those larger institutional, government-based clients that have strong mission and values, but really need to connect to people and have really a people-first look. So a lot of the design that we do is very people-focused and people-oriented, and how to get that creativity and those designs and those messaging and those websites, and how can they reach people over product-focused. So we have like a lot of banks, not a lot of banks. One of my favorite clients is the banks. I shouldn't say a lot of banks, but like banking industry, health industry, nonprofits, and a lot of school districts, and some of those other school districts and higher ed, really. So we have quite a few college and university clients,
okay,
as well as school districts. So.
What's the suite of services that they're coming to you for and you're providing?
Yeah, so our suite of services really starts with a lot of brand strategy and how that arcs into all different mediums. So we might be refreshing the logo, we might be creating the logo, but we might be also doing a brand implementation across all of their pieces, all of their events. What does that look like from an event standpoint? So maybe they're doing this, creative campaign and we work on the branding of that campaign, the messaging of that campaign. What's the experience that they're getting, either in their location, or if it's a email newsletter or a direct, either like a kind of some sort of direct marketing or like sales, like really unique and fun and creative sales pieces, and then how that all ties together. What is the experience of opening this sales piece? What is the material, the design is printed on? Are they feeling that same consistency and cohesiveness when they're going on the landing page on their website? And so it's really taking these full-on creative campaigns and just getting them all through every medium that we can. So design, web design, experience design, all of that, video.
Okay. That sounds like you're undertaking some big challenges, like rebrands and those kind of major overhauls can be big projects.
I love them. They're my favorite.
They're intimidating. There are a lot of organizations which will procrastinate a long time on those kinds of projects because of how hairy they can be.
Well, that's why you need to hire me, right?
Exactly.
because I love to make it easy for those clients. Because we do this for, this is what we do for a living. And because I love talking about all those different details, my goal is to always make it as easy as possible on the client. And so how can we take this huge project and boil it down into, actionable items, actionable steps? What can we do to make it easier for you? And how can we communicate that in a way that we're coaching you through that process?
What are the most common roadblocks, barriers, challenges that you run into in the process with these projects?
Well, some of these larger institutions have more like design by committee sometimes, and so it's
oh no.
Well, it's okay navigating the design by committee, but sometimes getting some of the hammering out the content and those kinds of details can be a bit longer of a process, getting everybody on the same wavelength. So I think that's probably some of the biggest challenges right now, but it's just kind of refining the process of how we're trying to get that content and trying to get that all put together to continue to make it the easiest for our clients.
Seems like every year, maybe every 6 months or so, I'm seeing some new revolutionary way to manage this process and to get the content from your clients and to work through those iterations with your clients now using such and such app or
Yeah, well, I guess for me, I try to cater to our clients as much as possible. And one way that might work for a school district isn't going to work for a hospital. And so just really trying to figure out what works best for your clients. And I would rather maneuver my process so that it works easiest for them, because the easier the process and the coaching them through that is, the more they realize, I think, the more they realize the value that you've provided and that it's, can be a really great fit that way of, trying to help them out instead of forcing them through a process that doesn't fit their company.
I'm curious if a part, whether intentionally or just by circumstance, a part of this process is not just rolling out like the new stuff in the same places, but also a process of modernizing the organization's efforts to some degree. Implementing some more sophisticated digital asset management, or including assets for new, more modern marketing channels that didn't exist in their wheelhouse before. So is modernizing the organization's approach a part of the focus for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's some part to the modernization of it, but also just how can they connect with their clients? Like if they're serving people, how can they get their message, or how can they make that experience for their customers to be so great that, they're turning their customers into brand evangelists and doing the marketing for them, raving about them on Twitter or Facebook or, all sorts of different things. Like, what's that experience really that they're providing for their customers, and how can we do that in a consistent way? How can we tailor their content to reach their customers? How can we tailor the design so that when you're on your website, you're feeling the same way that when you're sitting in one of their workshops? How are they reaching it so they can find the information, and just what kind of creativity level can we do to stand out from the crowd? One of our clients they recently in North Dakota, they do this Giving Hearts Day, which is the biggest biggest giving day in North Dakota is what they say. But like, what can we add to our client to help him stand out from all the other 148, or whatever that exact number was, but organizations that are all looking for donations that day? What kind of creative and what can really resonate with their customers or resonate with the public to be able to donate money? That would be, one example of how can you stand out in the crowd.
Okay. I've had client experiences in the past where I felt, and of course, I was far less experienced at the time and I didn't know how to handle it very well. But, and I'm sure you probably would more so, but do you ever find yourself in a situation with a client where you have an objective, but also feel confined with, the parameters provided by them are very limiting, and there are restrictions for like how far you can go or how creative you feel like you're allowed to get, or the areas you're allowed to really work on and have like, use your discretion or just think outside the box when there is that box. Do you encounter that? And if so, like, how do you navigate it?
Yeah, so I navigate it by saying to myself, know the rules to break the rules. So you need to know what those confines are. You need to know what that box is. But what level could you push them just to step out of that a little bit? But maybe not, or just, just be more creative within the box that is there. So know the rules to break the rules, and just really push it as far as you can. So if it's something that they're critiquing, the feedback on your work, it's like, okay, I understand that, but what about this solution? So if somebody's giving feedback that like, oh, I don't really know, I just don't really like it, trying to get to the heart of like, what is it that you don't like about it, and how can I fix that? Tell me a little bit more about that, or just trying to really, at the end of the day, come out with a solution that everybody loves. And it can be, and it's hard to do it for everybody, I suppose, if you're running into conflicts. But you don't, if you want to put your name on it and you want it on your portfolio, you want to be proud of it at the end of the day too. Yeah. So I think push it as far as you can, but stay within their confines. And I think there's navigate it. I think the minute you feel like this, like limited and it's just awful, I think you just got to like step away and think about it a little bit differently, or think about it from a different angle.
Yeah. Okay. I've certainly had those experiences, and I think that is sound advice, that even when there are those limitations, there is still room for some creativity within them. And when those limitations are communicated to you, if you're good at what you do, there might be opportunities for you to try and break that mold anyway, and just get creative and demonstrate like what possibilities there are outside of this box, and maybe like break down some misconceptions within an organization, or a paradigm shift could be brought to the team.
Yeah, I think there's like, when there's really strict brands that are like, oh, you can only use these 3 fonts and this is the brand colors and we don't want to deviate it at all. Like, are there different overlays? Are there different illustrations you can bring in? What kind of photography can you use? What different ways can you take these brand assets or this tagline that you have to use, and how can you make it, creative and different and still really relate to the brand?
Okay. Sure. Makes a lot of sense. And I can really get the experience that you have in these situations, and it sounds like you're very comfortable with what sounds to me like very complicated and tricky situations that, you know, I've had to dabble in before, or the situations that stressed me out, or where I thought, I don't know what to do. I'm in over my head. These clients are asking for things I don't know how to do, or I don't know how to navigate this bureaucracy. You're coming across as like someone just willing to take charge and very comfortable in that situation. Is this your personality, or is this just from your extensive experience that you've developed the skill set?
It's probably a mix of both, I would say, honestly. I think being able to coach clients through different processes has always been part of who I am and my personality. I think the experience just kind of helps solidify all of that, really. I have definitely have this go-getter attitude, and, you know, let's fix this problem, and let's make it all work, and let's do it in a really creative and fun and consistent and clear way, really. So I'm going to give you a mix of both on that.
Right on. Okay. Well, that's cool. This is like a very difficult point for a lot of us offering professional services to clients, like coming in, like we have experience, expertise. But when the client puts their foot down and says, like, this is what I want, how many of us are actually strong enough to say, you know, in our own way, tactfully, I'm in charge here. You know, I'm the expert here, and I'm going to run this process, and we're going to do it the right way. So I'll take your input, and then I'm going to drive.
Yeah, I think, although I kind of think that's where some people get into trouble, when they only want to be the expert all the time. I think being the expert is, you know, absolutely why you were hired. But you're still in a partnership, right? At the end of the day, I want to be just as motivated to make your operational success in your company achieve the goals that they're set out to do, as much as you should be. Like, those are the connections I'm building. If I'm going to work on your project for 3 to 7 years, over and over, like, of course I want your business to succeed. And I want, you know, and I want to get your Christmas card, and I want, you know, like, those are the kind of relationships that I have. And so it's, you know, it's a more of a mutual respect and a partnership than it is coming in the room stating that I'm the expert and then leaving that room, because that's not the retainer relationship. The retainer relationship, I believe, is a lot more expert with respect of their opinions, and making that process easy as can be. Like, how does it work to manage the project? How does it work for this? Like, let's have an open communication about what's working or what's not working, or being able to really connect and talk about why this is the solution that we're proposing, and be able to talk about it.
Yeah. When you started your business, you were almost certainly doing all kinds of graphic design projects, and, you know, I don't know, maybe setting up WordPress sites and tweaking websites and writing creative things for your clients. Now you've got a team working with you. Do you still get to do any of those creative things hands-on at all?
Yeah, I would say I still do much more than I probably should do. And if anybody's listening to this that knows me, has probably already told me, like, you need to work a little more on your business than in your business. And so I'd say if my percentage of time is probably still pretty high in the doing. So it's so yeah, I honestly don't know if I could ever get away from not doing the doing, all, like, at least a little bit of the time. But my focus now really is on more the brand strategy and the strategy side, less than and the design. So great about hiring an amazing team and working with them just as a partner as much as you would a client partner. You have this extension of skills, and you can talk through different designs and you know, bring what the client needs, and it should be pretty cohesive to work with the team, and that's awesome.
Yeah. It's ironic how businesses like this tend to work. You get in doing it alone, doing work that you're passionate about and that you're good at, and you just get to a point where, like, you've gotten so good at it, or you've been so successful at what you were doing, that you don't do it anymore.
Right. It is really weird.
The thing you were so passionate about, and the thing you were actually very talented at.
I
Um,
think as a designer and a strategist, though, you still get to do a lot of like the more the art directing role,
mm,
and a lot of the other things like the genuine connections and the client. Like I still love all of that, and to be able to hear the things that they're struggling with and their problems and those complex creative campaigns, like you were talking about, and really being able to boil that down into actionable tasks that my team can complete and go
mm.
after.
When you're putting together these campaigns these days, I mean, the industry changes fast. I mean, if you try and keep up on like what the hot new marketing things are, there's all kinds of stuff and all kinds of web stuff that's interesting. 2019, like what are some of the areas you are choosing to emphasize for a lot of your clients because you think that they're very timely now?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say it's not one specific process or product. Um, I'm really emphasizing the experience now, and
Mm,
so a lot since all of our clients, um, work with people and sell to people, need to connect with people. So, what kind of experience can we provide for them? Um, through everything, through their website, through their storefronts, through their um, email communication, like what kind of surprise and delight can we offer to your clients that just really solidifies their love for their brands, for the brand.
mm. Okay. Hmm. I
Yeah.
like that. I
I think
like that.
it comes in so many different ways too, like experience. There's just, yeah, a lot of really fun things.
Yeah. When you, I mean, when you say experience,
Mhm.
do you mind dissecting it a little bit? Are you talking about like just the general quality of the experience or the smoothness of the experience? Um, and any other like adjectives or qualities that are very important when you talk about experience?
Yeah. So when I think, I'll give you an exact example. One of our clients, Choice Bank, they're across all North Dakota and Minnesota, and they were doing a wishing well campaign where there anybody really in the community could make wishes in this wishing well, and they were going to nominate. And so you have to stay tuned now in 2019 as they're listing off the winners of the wishes. But the wishing well really originated at Choice as a culture project for their internal employees. So it was even like the experience of their teams getting to create these ideas, and then this wishing well kind of came to fruition. And so what we got to do with the wishing well project is we get to brand this wishing well. We get to create the well that people made wishes in. They got to do. We created the die cut coin that people could physically write in their wishes and drop it in the well. We
Mm,
had the vinyl graphics at their rural locations that led from the front door to the well to make these wishes. In the urban locations, we created a landing page that people could fill out their wish and the coin dropped in the water and it kind of animated. We came up with a social strategy around that, the PR strategy. Um, and just really this comprehensive, like, what does this mean for this whole entire campaign? What is the experience of the person that wants to make their wish online? What is the experience of the person that wants to walk through the bank doors to make their wish? Now, what's the experience of the people that are going to be, getting their wishes granted? So I think that's kind of that level of like, what does this mean for their clients and how they can appreciate the brand and what they stand for on giving back to their communities.
wow. Well, that sounds like a pretty fun campaign.
Yeah, it was great. We loved it.
Yeah, I would imagine not every campaign you get to take on is like has that many um, creative elements, like putting together the well. Like what? Uh, that sounds like so much fun. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, we have some pretty specialty projects, which is really fun.
yeah.
Which kind of has become a niche in itself. Is like, okay, well, here we have this like complex idea. How can we get? And so that's kind of like what we do best. Like, how can we, tackle this project, and how can we come up with all these creative ideas? Like, so the well came out with like these three different options. We kind of chose, which one would work best. So
Are you actually
yeah.
like involved in the idea generation process, like coming
Oh, it's
to
kind of
clients and like
yeah.
saying, like, do you bring ideas to the client for campaigns?
Well, this particular one they did in house, and it was like their leadership teams were. they nominated, or they were kind of putting together proposals about, what kind of campaign they could do. And
Mhm.
so they developed the idea, and then like the
Right.
idea was approved, and it was like, all right, Spark 27, now it's your turn
Yep.
to make this happen in a creative, and implement it in a creative way.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, but sometimes you're the one saying like, "Here's what I think we should try."
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you see something that's like fun and different, or they're like, oh, we want to, we really want to have this kind of event, but we can't figure out what it looks like, and we can think through like the process of people coming in through registration, the event, the graphics, the social media graphics, the email communication about getting people to the event. We just really think about these campaigns from a holistic point of view.
What about after campaigns? Are you very much involved in any postmortems and like recapping how the campaigns performed, looking at reports, just breaking down and learning from what you experimented with?
Yeah, I mean, I think everything has results on its, results based, which we
Uh,
love, and make sure that it was working. A lot of these campaigns are more specialty in nature, and so they don't often have like a version two of the same one. We'll
mhm,
see. Maybe wishing well will, and so then we can kind of say like, okay, well, how did these posts work? What was really great? What was bad? What didn't work? And then we would analyze it. But so many of these specialty ones are kind of these more one-off ways of in a in an entire consistent brand, right? So there might be
mhm,
like a specialty campaign that happens 3 times a year, and so they're so unique that they aren't replicated
mhm.
for these
Interesting.
brands.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to hit you with a few kind of wrap up questions because our time's winding down, and
Oh, that went
it's
fast.
yeah, I know it flies by, flies by. Okay. What sort of things do you do outside of work that like keep you busy and bring you joy?
Right now, I live in Minnesota, so we are all about skiing here and enjoying this crazy amount of snow. Um, so my kids that I referenced earlier that were 2 and 3 at the time, they're 7 and 6 now, and they've joined. They're on a ski race team, so we've been doing a lot of skiing and just really getting them with a love of outdoors. Whether it's winter or summer in Minnesota. So I would say that is probably my number one that's on my brain right now is anything to do with skiing and winter snow.
Wow. Great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody who is enjoying it. That is delightful.
I'll take the
Um,
snow any day as long as the cold weather stays away, as long as that polar vortex, as long as it stays above zero, I'm good.
yeah, that was kind of scary there for a minute.
It was really crazy.
uh, do you ever attend any events locally, like meetups, camps, conferences? And is there anything on your calendar for the rest of 2019?
Yeah, absolutely. So I attend and am a part of the American Advertising Federation.
Cool.
So I'm a past president of the North Dakota chapter, and one of my employees is the past president of the Central Minnesota chapter. So we were involved in that, and now I serve on the District 8 level. So District 8 for the federation comprises of Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Wisconsin. So I'm the executive director of the AAF District 8. So we go to a lot of those types of events that deal with advertising.
No kidding.
Yeah, I've spoken at a few word camps. Most often I've attended Minneapolis, but I've gone to Sacramento and Brighton, England. And um, what's on my radar for 2019 is some more AAF events and more word camps, I'm sure. And there's a kick-ass masterminds. I think everybody should check out Sarah Christensen and her great work. Um, she's got a podcast and just really resonates with some really great entrepreneurs. And then I'm an alumni of Cabo Press, and so I'll probably end up at Cabo again as well.
That's cool. Wow, that's
Yeah,
a lot of stuff.
yeah,
You're a busy person.
yeah.
Yeah, cool. Do you have any good suggestions for guests that I should invite on this show in the future?
Oh my gosh, I probably could give you 100 names, and I'm going to write them all out in Slack to you.
Okay.
So many great people, and I think in the WordPress space, I think you need to get some of these great women like Tessa, um, and
Oh, for sure, for sure.
yeah, Tessa, Shannon Schaefer, Jen Bourne. I mean, I think you have there's so many great women. Becker, right? I'm promoting the women. Of course, there's other great guys. I know you've already had Scott Deluzio on. We just worked on his brand that he launched here about a month ago. So that was exciting.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
He's great. So I can give you a ton more, and yeah, I'd be happy to share.
That's great. Thank you. Very thoughtful. Well, it's winding down. I'd like to have you briefly describe who should contact you and why and under what circumstance you would like people to reach out to you and how they might do so.
Oh, yeah. So anybody that really focuses on that overall brand strategy and implementing creative campaigns across multiple mediums is a great fit for us. Those specialty projects that are really fun and creative and unique, just really focusing on those brand implementations and the design from a user perspective.
Mm.
And all really just experience design is a great fit for us. And you can reach me on Twitter at Katie Ellenberger. You could email me at katie@spark27creative.com. And there's probably all sorts of other ways you can get a hold of me and meet me at a WordCamp. And if nothing else, let's just hang out and have a great conversation because I'm all about that.
Right on. Yeah. August 24th and 5th or 5th and 6th will be WordCamp Minneapolis. At least I know that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll be around.
Cool. Cool. Well, thank you, Katie. It's been a great discussion. I've learned a lot, and it's been fun getting to hear more about your story and learning your business. And man, just a lot of good advice. I think anybody starting a small agency, doing professional services like this, I think would be wise to listen to some of your takeaways and lessons. Thank you for sharing.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, here we go.